I can never tell when I'm online or not. I can see you in the chat, but I can't tell if you can see me on the screen. I'm looking at my own channel, and I don't see it. It seems like there's some kind of a lag involved. Anyway, I'm just going to assume that I'm on there. And so I'm going to start. Welcome to my God Talks show on Fridays. I appreciate you coming. The purpose of this show is to talk about the Bible and talk about Christian living and walking by the Spirit and possibly answer questions. Today, I have planned to discuss some things that one of my subscribers asked me, and I kept all of his questions, and I'm going to address them all eventually, but today I'm going to look at two of them. So, what do you mean by you need help with your friend? What kind of help? See, I can't believe I'm not online by now. This is crazy. But I don't see it. Let me check on my laptop. Let's see. Yes, I am. Okay. Good. All right. I can see that I'm live now. Thank God. This is some crazy stuff, I'll tell you. I still don't understand live streaming completely as far as how it works. But I guess that's because I'm old. But anyway, my friend has a crush with a girl. He keeps spelling her name and made a song about her. Okay. I'm not sure what kind of help I can be with that. I'm not a Dear Abby or anything like that, but show some guy. Okay. I'll just wait for you to finish typing what you're typing. Okay. Okay. So he made two songs of her, not just one. That's interesting. How old is your friend? Oh, okay. Well, at that age, you don't really know what love is. It's more of infatuation. Okay, Her name is Anna. Anna, yeah. But he's still in school, right? I mean, he's not trying to leave school to be with her, is he? School said, no, you can't. Okay. She is a SAF? What is that? SAFF? He said, I'm sad a little bit. Okay. Oh, staff, you mean? Oh. Well, how old is the girl? That might make a big difference. You know, sometimes when we're young, we get crushes on older people. Do you know if she's over 20? Yeah, well, you know, it's probably not a relationship that he should have, and he should, um, you know, he's probably he's uh, enamored with someone that's older than him, and that's not unusual, especially if she has traits. Yeah, because the states the school is going to try and stop that relationship because it's not really appropriate because of the age difference, and so. Um, but it's not unusual for a young man or a young woman to fall in love with someone that's much older than them, and they just it's excuse me, it's not going to work out most of the time. Sometimes, occasionally it does, but most of the time it doesn't. And he just needs to understand that it's a phase that he's going through, and he'll get past it. You know, she may have some traits that remind him of someone he loves, or that remind him of someone he wishes he had in his life, and so for that reason he thinks he's in love with her, and you know, it's as long as he's not suicidal about it. It's just something that he's going to get past. You know, he'll get over it. In other words, eventually. Excuse me. It's not something that 9 times out of 10, or 99 out of 100, it's not going to work out. The best thing you can do as his friend is to make sure that he knows that you care about him and that you care for him, and put your arm around him and give him a hug and love him and tell him that he's going to be okay, that everything's going to be all right, that eventually all this will work. Excuse me. Eventually all this will work out. And then the best thing you can do for him is just pray for him. Ask God to help him get past this. So that would be my advice. I have a subscriber on my channel that was raised in Christianity. I don't remember the exact details, but I think he went to a Christian school, and as he grew older, he became disillusioned with the faith, which is not at all unusual. Many people go through that, especially because the churches, thank you, especially because the churches, many of them, tend to be not very Christian. They put on the appearance of Christ, but they're not really Christian. They don't believe in the Word. They don't believe in God so much as they believe in worship, and so it can be very discouraging and disillusioning as you're growing up and you discover that. I mean, I went through that myself. Without going into a lot of the detail, I was exposed to the hypocrisy in my church when I was in college, and I had actually planned to be a minister. But after that, I changed my plans because I was so disillusioned with the church and the people in it that I just couldn't reconcile that in my mind. So that's not unusual. But he's asked me some questions, and I take these as, I believe these questions are sincere. I don't think that he's, just trying to stir up trouble or cause me any pain or anything. He's asking me honest questions. And this is what he wrote. Regarding the bad parts in the Bible, for instance, God unalived millions of people in a flood, and then goes on to say, do not unalive other people in his 10 commandments, which makes him a hypocrite with no morals in a lot of people's eyes. It does not make sense that God, who created the entire universe, would have such a fragile ego that he unalived millions of people in a flood because they didn't behave like he wanted them to. A real father on earth who is created in God's image would not unalive his children when they don't behave like they want them to. He would talk to them and discipline them, and even then, when the children still don't listen, he would not unalive them. They say God is a loving God. Well, this is very far from being a loving God. So, in thinking about this, I mean, this is an honest question, and I think a lot of people have this question. In thinking about it, several things came to mind. The first thing that I thought of is that when we read the Bible, we tend to read it with the eyes of a 21st century person, and we don't understand the culture that it's in, and we don't understand the times that these books were written in. And so we tend to view them through a lens that is quite a bit different from the way they were viewed at that time. For example, there are lots of old historical documents that have been retrieved by archaeologists that show stories about wars where the people said, the people that wrote the tablet or the stela or whatever it happens to be, that they entirely wiped out this other people. But we know that's not true because the other people still exist. And so there was a tendency for hyperbole, for portraying victories in war as being much, much greater than they actually were. And so when we go to the Bible, we have to remember that in order for God to communicate with humans, he has to communicate to them in language they understand. And so when he says things like, I want you to kill every single person, including the children, basically what he's saying is, I want you to go to war with these people, and I want you to destroy them to the point that they will no longer bother you. That's what he's basically saying. Now, when it comes to the flood and also Sodom and Gomorrah, those are two examples of where God actually intervened in the world to take care of a problem of sin. But I thought about this, and I thought, well, if you had the opportunity to kill Hitler as a young child, would you do it? If you knew what Hitler was going to do, and you knew the evil that he was going to bring into the world, and you had the chance to kill him when he was a child, would you do it? Excuse me. I think a lot of people would. A significant number of people would say, yes, I would kill him. Especially because 75 million people died in World War II. 75 million. That is a lot of people. And if you could have prevented the deaths of 75 million people by killing one person, would you do it? And would it be moral? Would it be right? Those are questions that we as humans wrestle with all the time. But you see, in the flood and also in Sodom and Gomorrah, the two events are quite similar in some ways. The flood was worldwide, Sodom and Gomorrah was localized. But before the flood, Noah preached for 120 years to try and get people to turn back to God. They didn't listen. In Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot and the angels warned the people. And Abraham actually argued with God and said, if you can find 50, if you can find 45, if you can find 40, 30, 20, he got all the way down to 5. If you can find 5 righteous people, will you spare the city? And God said yes. But he couldn't even find 5 righteous people in the city. And so he destroyed it. In both cases, God did spare a remnant. In the case of the flood, it was Noah's family. In the case of Sodom and Gomorrah, it was Lot's family and Abraham. But both of these events show God's willingness to judge sin while also showing mercy to the faithful. Okay? And so I think you have to understand the flood in the context. Let me pull up Genesis. Let's see. I think it's Genesis 6, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to show this to you. If I can get it up on the screen. Here we go. Goodness gracious. Okay. So, wrong screen. What the heck? Well, OBS sometimes does this, so I can't show you the verses, but I'll read them to you. I don't know why it does that. It should switch to the screen that I have highlighted, but it's not doing that. Let me see if I can get it to switch once here. Nope. It's not going to. Okay. I'll just read the verses. This is Genesis chapter 6. Now when humankind began to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters were born to them, then the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were good, and they took for themselves wives, any they chose. Then Adonai said, My spirit will not remain with mankind forever, since they are flesh. So their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, whenever the sons of God came to the daughters of men and gave birth to them. Those were the mighty men of old and men of renown. Then Adonai saw that the wickedness of humankind was great on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of their heart was only evil all the time. Think about that for just a minute. What he's saying is that all of mankind, the inclination of their hearts was only evil all the time. So they're not, they're not repentant. They're not, they're killing each other. They're raping each other. Think about all the bad things that happen in life when people are evil. That's what they were doing. And so God looked at it and he said, well, this is ridiculous. I can't handle this. And he decided, I'll wipe out humankind, whom I've created from the face of the ground, from humankind to livestock, crawling things and the flying creatures, because I regret that I made them. But Noah found favor in Adonai's eyes. Okay? So the lesson that we learn is that God is a judge. He's going to judge the earth and people for iniquity, but he's also going to save and reserve for himself those who are not evil and unrighteous. Okay? So, yes, the flood is a horrible event, but and a lot of people died. I don't know how many, because I don't know how many were alive back then. But the point is, excuse me, they had gotten to the point where they were just evil. They were just filled with evil completely and not repentant at all. And so the judgment for that is death. That's what it is. That's what Adam brought on us all. Okay. He wants, okay. Wants now to be her friend, but the school said no because he loved her, can't talk to her anymore now. He wants to build trust. Okay. The only thing I would say to you, was it Android Hello 468? You just need to encourage your friend to find other interests. Yeah, I know he thinks he loves the girl, and he probably does, but it's not going to work out because she's on staff. Okay? But he did it. Well, I don't know if I'd say did it wrong by making music about her. Old Testament is a fallen world too, yes. Well, so is the New Testament. Okay. Let's see, I got some more here. Before I continue, I want to read these. Okay. Yeah, maybe some of you guys in the chat can have a better answer for him than me. Getting back to what my friend said, both of the events, the flood and Sodom and Gomorrah, are presented or portrayed in the Bible as righteous divine judgment on overwhelming human wickedness. And so, again, I go back to the thing. If God has foreknowledge. He knows everything that's ever going to happen in the world. And knowing that, why would he not get rid of the evil ones? Would you get rid of Hitler if you knew what he was going to do? I think I would. I mean, that's almost like a no-brainer. Then my friend said this: Christians then say God is the law or above the law, but he isn't. If you set up a law for your children, one should follow those same rules themselves. Christians also say we do not know why God does things. When something difficult written in the Bible comes up, they have no answer for, but there are many Christians preaching to other people how God thinks and why he does things, so these arguments come across as excuses. Well, okay. The first thing I would say to you is, excuse me, just because someone says they're a Christian doesn't mean they are. Anyone can make that claim, but that doesn't make them a Christian. Obedience to God makes them a Christian. Obedience to God's word makes them Christians. So, don't judge belief in God on what Christians do or say, because there's no guarantee that they're doing what or saying what God wants them to do or say. Okay? So that would be the first thing I would say. And then addressing the specific thing that you brought up, he brought up the commandment that says thou shalt not murder. That was a command that was given to humans. The Bible consistently shows that God, as the creator and ultimate judge, has the right to give and take life. Humans do not. Excuse me. This is the same reason that we accept that a judge can sentence someone to death while a private citizen cannot murder someone. The moral standard is not the same for the creator as it is for the creature. Excuse me. I need to drink water. So you have to understand, because God is the judge, he's the one who sets the punishment, just like human judges do. And when a judge sentences someone to death, it's not the same thing as when you take a gun or a knife and kill someone. Okay? So those two don't match. Excuse me. He also mentioned that that he said that God had a fragile ego. The Bible doesn't portray the flood as God throwing a temper tantrum because people disobeyed him. It presents it as a righteous judgment against a world that has become overwhelmingly evil and violent. Whether we find that morally acceptable is a different question, and it's one that thoughtful Christians have wrestled with for centuries. So I don't have any problem with you questioning that. I mean, that's, there are things in the Bible that I question, that I'm not sure about, that I don't know if I have the right answer. I don't know if I believe the right thing. And I think it will always be that way because we're human. And so we're not perfect. And gosh, got some more chat in here. Let me see what's going on. True, but New Testament sets the stage for forgiveness. Yes. Good day, brother. Okay. Good day to you too, Coral Aussie. And thank you, Danielle Labreda. I want to continue with this thing because I want my friend and subscriber to know that I'm not ignoring his questions. The Bible says that God is love. Okay? It also says he's just. So the tension that we feel, or that we might feel, between his love and his judgment is real. Excuse me. Christians who say we can't always know why God does what he does are just acknowledging that they're finite beings trying to understand an infinite God. That doesn't mean we throw up our hands at every difficult passage, but it does mean we should approach them with humility instead of immediately assuming God is immoral. There are other things in the Bible that we can be sure of, and the things that we can't be sure of, my approach to that is to just go to God and say, please explain this to me. And sometimes he does, and sometimes he doesn't. And that's just the way it is. You know, there are some things that God probably will never explain to us. It tells us that when we go to heaven, we will know even as we are known. So we'll have perfect knowledge then. But we don't have perfect knowledge now, and we can't possibly know all the right answers to every question. And so part of the Christian walk is being willing to accept that you are finite, that you are not fully knowledgeable of everything, that you don't completely understand God. And so you accept that and you just continue to believe in him and trust in him, because the proof of God is so overwhelming. I mean, it's like, it's ridiculously overwhelming is the way I would put it. Archaeology has proven time and time again that the Bible is historically accurate. The prophecies made, centuries before Christ was born that came true when he was born are proof that it's God, because no one could make those kind of prophecies that far in advance and be right every single time unless they know ahead of time what's going on and what's going to happen. And that's what it is with God. Like I shared, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Excuse me. I think I shared this 2 weeks ago, but some mathematicians did a calculation to determine what the odds were of only 8 of the 50 very obvious prophecies of Christ's coming and his resurrection, death, resurrection, everything. All those prophecies of them coming true. And what they found was it was 10 to the 17th power, which they described as if you covered the state of Texas 2 feet deep in coins, and you marked one coin, and then you told a blindfolded man he could go anywhere in the state he wanted, but he needed to pick up that one coin. That would be the odds of all those prophecies coming true. There's no other book on earth like it. I once, just out of curiosity, asked Grok, is the Bible internally consistent? And his response surprised me. He said, the Bible is the most internally consistent book ever written. And that's from a computer that can look for inconsistencies far more thoroughly and more accurately than I can. So, I mean, I think the question of whether or not there is a God is settled. It may not be settled for you, but it's certainly settled for me. And then the question of whether or not Jesus Christ was born, whether he died, whether he rose from the dead, those are all been answered by history, by archaeology, by the Bible. And now the only question that remains is, are you going to follow him? Are you going to give your life to him? Are you going to make him the Lord of your life and obey his desires? Because his desire for you is to have the best for you anyway. So it's like, I don't mean this in a materialistic way, but believing in Jesus Christ and making him Lord of your life is like hitting the lottery. You get the best of everything. You get the best life you could possibly have, the best joy you could possibly have, the best peace you could possibly have. I was thinking about that the other day when it comes to peace. My wife was diagnosed in 2011 with uterine cancer and with breast cancer. Do you know that that didn't even bother us? I never had a single thought in my brain, oh my God, she could die. I never thought that. Why? Because I've been walking with God for so long that I just know it's not a problem for him to take care of that. And he did. She's been cancer free since 2012. And when they did the surgeries, they did a total hysterectomy, and they did a I don't remember the medical term, but they took some tissue out of her breast. Both of them, when they sent them to pathology, had no cancer in them. The cancer was gone before they did the surgery. It just, if you walk with God every day, if you give your life to Jesus Christ and you just follow his instructions, then you just have this peace that is, well, Philippians says it's beyond understanding. And it is. I can't understand it. It's just so incredible. It's like the greatest freedom that you could possibly imagine. And so that's my recommendation to anybody that asks is give your life to Jesus. Give your life to God. And then you find out what happens. Because he does exist. He's proven he exists. Jesus Christ has proven that he was raised from the dead. So there's nothing left to discuss along those lines. Those are all settled facts. Okay? What? That doesn't make any sense. I have a friend who's been saving a music career, and he had no money for it. And then he got it for free, and he killed somebody. Now he's in the FBI. That doesn't even make sense. Yeah. Well, Danielle, you're absolutely right. If we trusted more in Jesus, life wouldn't be as stressful as it is. For me, it's not stressful at all. I'm not worried about money. I'm not worried about paying bills. I'm not worried about eating. I'm not worried about anything. I mean, yeah, I'm old and I'm retired, and so there's a lot of things that I don't have to deal with that people who are still working do have to deal with. But still, my life is just, it's just fun. It's easy and it's fun. And I couldn't recommend it enough. Getting back to my friend, I don't know if I answered your question or not, Chris. You'll have to tell me that when you watch this. But then I'm going to read here. Then it comes to my next question. God is the Father and created the entire universe and all humans. Excuse me. When one creates all humans, and God is named the Father of all humans, they are all his children. So why do they call Jesus the only Son of God? The only begotten Son? Well, the word there in the Greek is monogenes huios, which means unique, one of a kind Son. And Jesus Christ is unique because he was not born like any other man. Any human being on the face of the earth that's born is born because of the uniting of a sperm with an egg. Okay? A sperm from a human male, an egg from a human female. That's how human beings come into existence. That's not how Jesus Christ came into existence. He had a human mother, but he had a heavenly Father. God was his Father. That's unusual, that's unique, and that's exactly what that verse, or what the Greek in that verse means. So, only begotten Son means, excuse me, only begotten Son means not created or begotten in time like other humans. And it emphasizes his eternal, singular relationship with the Father. Jesus is the sole, incomparable Son, eternally generated from the Father, sharing divine essence with the Father. The monogenes huios emphasizes exclusivity. There is no other monogenes Son of God. We are sons of God, but we are not monogenes sons of God. Okay? So my friend writes, God has billions of sons and daughters as he created all humans when you think about it. He's the father of every living being since he created everything. But Christians keep saying Jesus is the only Son of God. Well, I think I explained that already. It is a common question. And yes, God did create all people. So in that sense, he is the father of every human being by creation. The Bible even says we are all his offspring in Acts 17:28. However, when the Bible calls Jesus the only begotten Son of God, it's using a completely different and much stronger meaning. The Greek phrase does not mean only child in the sense of quantity. It means unique, one-of-a-kind Son, the only Son who shares the exact same divine nature as the Father. Okay? So, I hope that these answer your questions. If they generate new questions, let me know. And you have some more in here that I've recorded that I will get to in future live streams. But I wanted to stop there. Looking at the star of my angel. Excuse me. I hope that this has given you some insight into the scriptures, and perhaps sparked some thoughts, or cause you to want to do some more research. There are definitely things in the Bible that I struggle with that I don't fully understand, or I don't understand at all. And the way that I've approached that in my walk is, if I read something in the scriptures and it doesn't make sense to me, and I don't see it making sense to me anytime soon, I just set it aside. I say, okay, that's for a later time when God will reveal it to me. Okay. Danielle says, I have been struggling with lust and sin in general, and it feels like a constant war with my flesh every day. It feels like I can't stop sinning, and I feel unworthy of God. Well, first of all, your feelings are perfectly normal. Everyone feels that way at one time or another. And secondly, you can't do anything to make yourself worthy to God. God does that for you. So you don't have to try and make yourself worthy to God. You see, when you get born again, every sin you've ever committed is forgiven. So is every sin you ever will commit from that day forward. Okay? God understands that you're human and that you're not perfect, and that you're going to fall. You're going to make mistakes. And so the very first thing you have to understand is that God loves you, and he loves you so much that he gave his only begotten Son on a cross for you, so that you could be free from sin, even though you never will be while you're still alive. You know, there's a section in Scripture, I don't remember exactly where it is, where Paul talks about how the things that he would do, he doesn't do, and the things that he doesn't want to do, he does do. It's a human condition. We're all going to fall. We're all going to fail because we're flawed. Okay? But God saw those flaws and said, I love you anyway. I forgive you anyway. And I will continue to forgive you. Just keep seeking me, and you will get better and better and better. But you will never be perfect. Only one person in the history of mankind has ever been perfect, and he's seated at the right hand of the Father. So that's the first thing you need to realize is you're forgiven and you are worthy. God has made you worthy. You cannot be, you can't be unworthy. You can't, when you get born again, that's a gift. Okay? God is not going to take away a gift. You can throw it away, but God will not take it away. Okay? So you just have to learn to bask in the forgiveness that God has already given you. You have to learn to, instead of looking at your own sin, look at God and say, thank you for forgiving me for this, because I'm so weak and I really need your help. Okay? Excuse me. And when you say you've been struggling with lust and sin in general, it feels like a constant war with my flesh. Yes. The best advice I can give you for that is stay in the Word every day. Stay in prayer every day. And when you're praying, ask God to help you. And He will. Ask Him to deliver you from the lust and the sin that you have, and to take it away and to keep it away. One of the prayers that I've said consistently for years and years and years is thank you for putting a hedge of protection around me, around my family, and around my house. Keep the devil away. Keep him completely away from me. I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to have anything to do with him. I don't want him messing with my life. So just protect me. I've said that prayer daily for years. Decades, for literally. And guess what? I don't have these kind of problems because I've been praying for so long for God to keep me safe and protect me that it's just routine. It's expected. I don't, I read stories about people being harassed by devil spirits, and I often read those and I think, I wonder what that's like. And then I think, but I don't want to find out. I don't want to deal with that. And God says, you don't have to. I'll get rid of it for you, and I'll keep it away from you from now on. I'll protect you. So that's what I would say to you is stay in the Bible, read it every day, stay in prayer, pray every day, and ask God to put a hedge of protection around your life and protect you from the things that you're fighting with. And you'll be amazed at how fast they dissipate. Will you consider reacting to the Sony music video Wait For Me by Moby? Well, not today, I won't. That's not the purpose of this live stream is not music. Okay? So if you come on Sunday to Rumble at 3 p.m. UTC, you can make that request in the chat and I'll react to it then, for sure. It's just, walking with God is, it's a day by day thing. It's an everyday thing. And so every day you have to read the Word. Every day you have to pray. Every day you have to ask God for forgiveness. Every day you have to thank God for being delivered, for having all your sins forgiven. Every day you just spend your time with God. And the more you do that, the less you'll deal with the other things. I want you to listen and looking at the Star of Angel. Okay, well, again, I don't do music reactions on my God Talk show, so you need to ask for that on Sunday. I'm trying to think of some examples I can give you. One of the things that I've done in my life is when when something is really troubling me, and this hasn't happened in a long time, but it used to when I was younger in the Word, things would trouble me in my soul, and I would be really bothered by them. And what I would do is I would challenge God. I need you to show me the answer to this in a way that I cannot possibly mistake. And every time I prayed like that, God showed me the answer. He brought someone into my life to tell me, or he just gave me a thought in my head that told me. Walking by the Spirit is a completely individualized thing. Every one of us human beings is unique, and so the way that God interacts with you might be 180 degrees out from the way he interacts with me, but he'll interact with you in the way that you understand and that you appreciate. And so for me, I'm a thinker. I'm a very logical kind of person, and so my walk with God has been just thoughts in my head that I know are him. My wife has seen visions. I haven't. I asked God about that one time. You know what he said? You don't need them. Well, but how about if I want to see one? But see, that's not the right way to think. I just want to see one so I can see one. No, that's not godly. That's a selfish desire. See, but for me, it's just God can work in your life in the most. I'm going to use this word, but it's not really a good word to use. In the most inconsequential ways. For example, you get up in the morning, you're getting ready to go to work. You grab your keys, you're walking out the door, and all of a sudden you think, oh, I forgot something. And so you turn around and you go back and get it. Then you go get in your car and you drive to work, and nothing happens on the way to work. If you had just gone out the door and not turned around and gone back in, you would have been in a T-bone accident, seriously injured at the intersection of 12th and 32nd. Okay? God knows that, and so he puts into your head, you forgot so-and-so, and so you go back into the house to get it. And maybe you realize when you go back in, oh, I didn't forget it after all. But it's the point is, God put that delay into your life to save your life, to protect you from being hurt. Okay? So a lot of times, the things that God does in our heads we'll think are inconsequential, they're meaningless. What I've learned to do and what I've trained myself to do is I just thank God for all of it constantly. If I get all green lights, I thank God for the green lights. If I get red lights, I thank God for the red lights. Thank you for the red light because I probably would have been hit by somebody who ran through the light. I don't have to know for certain that God did that, but if I'm thankful to God for everything that happens in my life, what does that do for me mentally? It puts me in a frame of mind where God is my protector. He's my answer. He's my Father. He's got his arms around me, and I'm safe. You see? So, Colossians, Philippians 4:6 says, be anxious for nothing, but in all things, through prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving. With thanksgiving. Okay? Be anxious for nothing, but in all things, through prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God that passes all understanding will keep your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Wouldn't you like to have the peace of God in your life like that, where it's just like, whatever, I'm fine. I ain't got no worries in the world. Yeah, I bet everybody would like to have that. Well, that's how you do it. Okay? With prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving. Always being thankful for everything in your life. Good, bad, and indifferent, you thank God for it. Because sometimes God will allow bad things to happen to you because you need to learn something, because you need to grow, you need to expand your understanding of God and your belief in God. And so he will let something bad happen. God doesn't do bad things to us, but he will let something bad happen because he knows that when you come out the other side of that, you're going to be a stronger believer. You're going to have more faith. You're going to have more trust in him. And so he lets it happen. Okay? But no matter what it is, if it's something really bad like a car accident, God can deliver you from that anyway. He can heal you. So, why are you worried? Be anxious for nothing. Okay. Imagine seeing Jesus. Well, there are many people that claim that they have seen Jesus. I haven't, but I don't need to. I mean, I know he exists. I don't have to see him to have proof of that. For some people, I guess that's, it's a need in their life, and so God fulfills their need. That's how simple it is. It really is that simple. It's you and God. It's nobody else but you and God. That's how it should be. Walking together every single day, talking to each other all day long, praying, thanking God for everything, just living a life of thankfulness and prayerfulness and knowing that God is with you all the time. And if you live like that, you're gonna sail through life. Life's gonna be good for you. It's gonna be enjoyable. You might have short-term pain, but you'll never have long-term pain because you're with God. Okay. I'm trying to think of. I was going to share a story with you, and then I didn't know if I wanted to or not, but I guess I will. Thank you, Danielle, and thank you for coming, and thank you for asking your question. I really appreciate that. It takes some guts to do that, to put out what you're thinking and what you're feeling in public like that. So thank you for that. It takes courage, and I appreciate that. I've already given you some examples of walking with God. I just don't know. I think I've done enough. If there are no other questions, I'm going to close out the stream in a minute or so. But if there are questions, post them now, because I'll be happy to deal with them. But if there's anything that I can encourage you to do, it's to adopt a life of thankfulness and prayerfulness. If you can do those two things, you will see changes coming. You will see dramatic changes in your life if you do those two things, thankfulness and prayerfulness. There's some, I can give you some practical examples. Excuse me. Excuse me. Write down on a piece of paper. Write down on a piece of paper 7 things that you're thankful for. Okay? Put those on sticking, those Post-it notes. 1 thing per note. Okay? Then put that note on your bathroom mirror. And every morning when you get up, you see that note and you say, God, I want to thank you for whatever that thing is. And then the next day you put the second note, the next day the third. When you've gone through all 7, start over. Start with the first one again. Just keep doing that for 3 weeks, and you will develop a habit of being thankful every day. And once you have that habit ingrained in you, the sky's the limit. There is nothing that God can't do for you. I mean, Jesus Christ said if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to a mountain, move. A mountain, move, and it will move. Can you even imagine that? Having that kind of power. And yet that's the power that you have if you're born again. You have the power to move mountains. You have the power to perform miracles. You have the power to raise the dead. You have the power to heal the sick, to heal the blind, to heal the lame. That power resides inside of you. Yeah, I know about that story, but I don't understand what your point is, Android. Why are you trying to get off topic all the time? The purpose of this stream is to talk about God, not to talk about current events. Let's see. Yeah, I know about that. Okay. So, when we're born into the world, we're born as natural men. That's what the word calls us, is natural men. We have the 5 senses: taste, touch, hearing, smell, and what's the fifth one? Taste, touch, hearing, smelling, and seeing. Okay? That's what we have to detect what's going on around us. When you get born again, God puts His Spirit inside you. Now you have a 6th sense. And that 6th sense is connected directly to God. That 6th sense is connected directly to God. So what that means is you have foreknowledge of everything. You have access to that. You have access to all the power that created the universe. You have access to healing. You have access to, come on. Everything that God makes available, which is everything that He has. You have access to all of that. So you no longer have to rely on your touch, your taste, your smell, your hearing, or your sight to determine what's going on around you. You now can go directly to the Spirit and say, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. And the Spirit will tell you. Okay? And you'll be so much better off because you know what's really going on and not what looks like is going on. Okay. I want to thank each and every one of you that came to my stream tonight. I hope you'll come back next Friday at the same time, 1 a.m. UTC on YouTube, and we'll talk some more about God. And if you have any questions, be sure to bring them, because I will do my best to answer them. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a trained minister. I haven't been to school for this. I'm just a simple believer who has learned to trust and live with God every day and walk with God. And so I'll share what I know from my own personal experience and from my knowledge of the Word. Okay? In the meantime, I want to pray for each and every one of you, that God will watch over you, that He will keep you safe from harm, that He will protect you from the wiles of the adversary, that He will keep you in His arms at all times. And I pray that you will learn to walk with Him. Excuse me. I pray that you will learn to walk with Him in harmony, and that you will trust Him to give you the information you need to walk through this life with power, with grace, with mercy, and with peace. And I pray for that for every single person that you love as well. So, until next Friday at the same time, this is the Vietnam Era Vet.